My beautiful wife Lauren always said, Kevin, if you're in, you stay loyal. You don't go shopping for other houses. See, she's a real estate agent and I'm a real estate broker, and we're in the process of buying a house that's turned into quite the disaster. So I decided to go house hunting while that disaster is going on along the side. Now in this video, you're going to learn a lot about protecting yourself when it comes to investing in real estate, and if you stay to the end, you'll even get a recession hack for making a lot of money in real estate while the market is falling. Now, it's commonly said only write offers if you're planning on buying all the properties that you're writing offers on. Well, while that could be a possibility, I'd really only prefer to buy one of these fixers right now, and I don't have a lot of hope for the foundation disaster house on quicksand. So it all started today when I took Jack to Ojai to check out an open house.
This is not good.
Really?
No.
Come with me.
Is that the house?
Yeah. Now, I was a bit confused at first because the agent suggested it was an open house and there wasn't a lockbox. Except he didn't actually mean there was an open house. So this house ended up being a bit of a tease. Not only is there no roof, but the house is built on 3 different levels with almost 3 different foundations, and I really didn't see much hope for actually using the existing floor plan or the existing framing that was present. See, what I'm really looking for is a cosmetic remodel, something where I could put $5 in and get $10 to $15 back in market value. I'm really not interested in dealing with engineers, architects, foundation work, structural work. It's just too expensive and it's not going to make me money. So I decided to drive over to Santa Barbara. Now, a lot of you know that I use the 30-minute rule. That is, I won't invest anywhere I can't drive to within 30 minutes. And hey, when I mapped these properties today, each of them were just 29 minutes away from my house. The traffic might have been perfect, but hey, it was within the 30-minute rule when I went to visit them. Anyway, arriving in Santa Barbara, one of my favorite sights was unfolding. There were people competing for my temptress, or the house. See, a lot of people get nervous when they see other buyers looking at the same property they are. I think the opposite. I think safety. When you buy real estate, your safety net is either to rent the property or sell it. That's why it's so important to buy deals below market value. And there's nothing like an army of competition to show you that if things go wrong, you have an army of competition to sell the place to yourself. Now, I don't plan on things going wrong. I just know that I'm in the right place when there is competition. It's usually a bad sign if you think a property is a really, really good deal and the property's on the market, yet there's no competition. It's a really good red flag. Now, let me explain this house a bit and some of the landmines within it, and then I'm gonna talk to you about how you could profit from this property in 4 different ways. We're gonna run the numbers on those, and then we're gonna talk about that recession hack.
Whoa!
So this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,200 square foot fixer-upper. It was built in 1910. And what I just said should have already shot a red flag up in your mind. See, this property is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but back in 1910, builders didn't build 2-bath properties. Properties were either 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 3-in-1, 4-in-1, sometimes, more rarely, 5-in-1. 1 bathroom was all that was generally built during this time. So this is where I immediately thought to myself, I need to check the permit records on this addition. But not only that, in my real estate investing course linked below, which you can take advantage of the Black Cyber Sale coupon through St. Nick's Day, which is December 6th. Think of it like that chocolate in your boots. That sweet bonus. I generally advise against buying properties with additions. And if you take a look at this property, you'll kind of see why. You go from this kitchen into this like odd mud room, which then goes to this 3/4 bath that has pink tiling. Now, the pink tiling's not a big deal, but the pink tiling is actually another dead giveaway that this addition was probably done in the 50s, which the downside of that is there might not be records for this addition. And if there aren't records for this addition, basically, it's not a permitted addition. But let's just assume it was a permitted addition. Not only is the layout of this addition somewhat funky, but it's completely destroyed the backyard functionality of the property, which is also going to hurt one of our abilities to make money with this property, which again, we'll talk about shortly. Now, the other thing that I don't really like are properties built before 1950 in California, unless they've had earthquake retrofitting work done to them. Earthquake retrofitting work can be very expensive, and I'm just really not interested in doing it unless I'm getting a smoking hot deal, and ideally, I just want to do the cosmetics, because again, I want to make money, and I don't want another job. I just want a side hustle. Now, as much as I like hardwood floor, the original window benches, and someone kind enough to install a peephole in one of the bedrooms for me with a dangling light, which I thought you only saw that kind of stuff in the movies, and I was pretty sure they messed up walls like this for Halloween sets. But anyway, I wasn't super jazzed about having this add-on and losing the backyard potential. When I went through the house, I did my usual as well. I checked for plumbing issues, electrical issues, and I tried seeing what things I could salvage. That's pretty cool, huh? Hey Jack, do you think we can keep these cabinets?
Yep.
Yep. They work?
Yep.
Keep everything?
Yep.
Now, unfortunately, because this is at the outskirts of my radius, so to speak, my 30-minute radius, I'm not as familiar with the neighborhood. And let's just say when I got back and looked up crime reports for the neighborhood, this particular neighborhood has crime somewhere between 2 to 3 times as high as crime in my neighborhood, which definitely shocked me because I thought, wait a minute, Santa Barbara's more expensive. I mean, this is a $620,000 house that's going to get multiple offers, built in 1910, that needs everything with no backyard. You'd think the neighborhood wouldn't be a problem. So we already know that the addition is a potential landmine. Now we know the neighborhood is a potential landmine, we know the age is a potential landmine, and pretty much we're dealing with original elements throughout. When I stuck my head under the foundation access hole, I also found what was essentially an unmodified original foundation based on the limited view that I had, which in other words implies I would probably have to do foundation work as well. In fact, when I sent a picture of this sort of curved stucco side of the property to my foundation expert, I asked them, hey, is this bad? And this is what he had to say. Yes, really bad. It looks like the footing is rotating, or the framing is really rotten. Big problem. So what are you left with in terms of options for this property, and when do we get to making money in a recession? Well, here are the options. Flip it, rent it, Airbnb it, or ADU it. So now let's break down those numbers because that was a little fast. You can flip this property. The house would probably sell for somewhere between $875,000 to $900,000 fixed up. With around $80,000 of fix-up, you'd get pretty dang far. It is a small house after all. This is, of course, assuming that the addition ends up being permitted. Now, with about $52,000 in selling costs, your break-even would be around $740,000. In other words, every dime that you buy this place for under $740,000 is profit for you. So quick math, if you buy it for $680,000, you could expect to make about a $60,000 profit based on these numbers. Now, if you choose not to sell it and you decide to keep it as a rental, your break-even point would actually go up substantially because you don't have to pay realtors and escrow fees to sell the property. So in this case, your break-even point might be closer to $800,000, in which case getting the property for $680,000 might leave you with somewhere around a $120,000 wedge or equity position. $680,000 purchase price, $80,000 for fix-up and holding costs is $760,000 in, and we think the property should be worth somewhere around $880,000. We said $875,000 to $900,000, go with $880,000 to be conservative. These are just really rough approximations, but obviously you make more money if you don't have to sell the property and you keep it instead. Now, this option number 2 method of renting the property would probably get you about $3,200 in rent, which honestly isn't superb, mostly because of the price point and what it would take to actually get this place rentable. Now, the better option actually seems to be Airbnb-ing it. Now, in Santa Barbara, there is only a limited part of the town where Airbnbs are permitted at all. If you're outside that zone, you cannot Airbnb the property out. It's very important to be familiar with local rules and regulations when it comes to vacation rentals. Fortunately, this property does fall within the Airbnb zone, so it could be converted into an Airbnb, but there's some problems with that. First though, let me say AirDNA, the website that, and no, this is not sponsored, the website that gives you some kind of estimates as far as what you might expect to be able to rent out the property for and what you might be able to get on an annual basis from the property, thinks that this property could rent out as an Airbnb nightly vacation rental for somewhere around $546 a night. At 46% occupancy, this would be about $7,500 in monthly revenue. I personally think that's way high. The way I was doing my numbers is this place might rent out for $299 per night at 50% vacancy, which would net me somewhere around $4,500 before Airbnb fees and taxes. So that's where you can definitely see this sort of like classic rental arbitrage, where if you rent it out on the nightly basis, you're still going to net more money because you're putting in more work. But then you have to decide, do you want that extra cash flow with the extra work, or would you rather just rent it out on a year lease? Now, the problem that I mentioned with Airbnb-ing this property is, in this particular city, if you choose to convert it into an Airbnb, there's a chance that you will never be able to add an accessory dwelling unit, which is option number 4. Adding a dwelling unit to the garage, or completely removing the garage and building a new dwelling unit, or even possibly a duplex in that spot. If you added one rental unit in the back, you could probably rent out the rental unit in the back for about $1,800. And it would probably cost you around $150,000 to add this accessory dwelling unit or convert the garage. Ballpark. Now all of a sudden, instead of just getting $3,200 in rent, you'd be getting $5,000 in rent. If you pick the place up for $680, you put your $80K in for fix-up and your $150K in for the ADU, you're still into the deal for $910,000. So the cash flow is still not amazing, but for Santa Barbara, this is getting a lot of people excited. For me personally, I'm not a big fan of building when the market is going up and there are opportunities to buy deals. See, this is the recession hack. When prices are low, or there are opportunities to buy deals low when prices are going up, it doesn't make sense for me to tie up $150,000 into an accessory dwelling unit. I would rather focus on controlling these kinds of deals. Then, when I control the deals, I can decide to develop them if the market starts falling. So here's what I mean. I would rather today take that $150,000 and go shop for more good deals. If the market starts falling and prices start going down, I won't be buying, but I might still have money from my earned income that I want to invest. In which case, rather than buying deals in a falling market, I could then choose to add or convert something to an accessory dwelling unit or develop a duplex or whatever with that money instead. That way, while the market's doing well or the market's going up, I'm buying wedge deals and I'm keeping things as simple, long-term rentals and getting instant equity. Remember, I would expect my instant equity in this deal to be somewhere around $120,000 if I could pick it up for $680,000. I wouldn't want to pay much more than that, but I'm about to go into that part. Then once the time comes around where prices start falling again, kind of like that crash that we had in 2018, that might be the kind of time that it would make sense to hire a contractor and go through the redevelopment opportunity, because that way I'm always investing my money at the most opportune times. It doesn't make sense for me to tie up a bunch of money in construction when there's so many deals to be had on the market right now. So by writing an offer, I cheated on the house we were in escrow on. Unfortunately, when I went to write my offer on this property, through the negotiation tactics that I teach, I found out what the other offers were and found out that I was going to get beat really badly by a 1031 exchange buyer. Unfortunately, 1031 exchange buyers are the worst ones to compete with because they have a darn deadline to buy something, which makes them the best buyer for a seller. On to the next one. That's good. Good job, Jack. It's locked. Do you think that's safe?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Would it be funny if somebody came in and opened it while it was locked?
Yeah, that would be pretty funny.
Yeah.